The cold gel on my stomach made me flinch, but I couldn't stop smiling. After 3 years of marriage and 8 months of pregnancy, this was the moment I'd been dreaming of, finding out if my baby was a boy or girl. I didn't care which. I just wanted my child to be healthy and loved. My name is Viviana, and that was the last truly happy moment of my marriage. There we go, the technician said, moving the wand across my belly. Nice, strong heartbeat. And yes, I can see clearly now. Would you like to know the gender? Yes, my mother-in-law Eleanor answered before I could speak. She stood rigid beside the examination table, her pearl necklace gleaming under the fluorescent lights. My husband Brett squeezed my hand, but his grip felt mechanical. Congratulations! It's a girl! The room temperature seemed to drop 20 degrees. Eleanor's face twisted like she'd bitten into something rotten. Brett's hand went slack in mine. Are you certain? Eleanor's voice could have frozen hell. Check again. The technician blinked, clearly confused by their reaction. I'm quite sure. Would you like to see for yourself? Look here on the screen. That's enough. Eleanor cut her off. Brett, we should discuss this with Dr. Matthews. Perhaps he can recommend additional testing. I sat up straighter, protective instincts flaring. Additional testing? For what? She's healthy, that's all that matters. Oh, darling. Eleanor's smile didn't reach her eyes. We just want to be thorough. The Wolf legacy is at stake. Brett finally spoke, his voice flat. We needed a son, Viv. You know how important this is to the family. I don't understand, but I did. I'd seen how Eleanor treated her female staff, how she spoke about women in power. I just never thought she'd direct that same contempt toward her own grandchild. Don't worry your pretty head, Eleanor patted my cheek. We'll figure something out. The drive home was silent. I stared out the window of Brett's Mercedes, watching rain streak across the glass while my daughter kicked inside me. Each movement felt like a tiny act of defiance. Mother's right, Brett said finally. We can try again after this one. Focus on giving me a proper heir. This one? My voice shook. This is our child, Brett. Your daughter. He didn't respond. At dinner that night, I picked at my food while Eleanor dominated the conversation with talk of family traditions and bloodlines. I excused myself early, claiming fatigue, but instead of going to my room, I lingered in the darkened hallway outside Eleanor's study. Brett's voice drifted through the partially open door. What are we going to do, Mother? I've already spoken to Julian. He agrees the situation requires management. But Viviana's inheritance will be secured, darling. We simply need to make her appear unstable. Pregnancy hormones can do terrible things to a woman's mind, and with her father's estate still in probate, she trusts me completely. Good. Keep her calm while I make arrangements. We can't risk the estate going to her or that girl. The Wolf name demands better. And Viviana? Once she's been properly evaluated, the courts will see things our way. The child will be raised properly, under our guidance. I pressed my hand against my mouth to keep from screaming. My other hand cradled my stomach, feeling my daughter's movements grow stronger, as if she sensed my distress. It's okay, baby, I whispered in the darkness. Mama's not backing down. They think I'm weak because I'm quiet. They forget that wolves aren't the only predators who know how to wait. I slipped away to my room, mind racing. They wanted to paint me as crazy? Fine. I'd give them the performance of a lifetime. But first, I needed help. I grabbed my phone and sent a text to the one person I could trust completely. Ciara, I need you. Emergency. Can't talk on phone. Meet tomorrow? Her response was immediate. Name the time and place. I'm there. I lay in bed that night, listening to the rain and planning. Eleanor and Brett thought they were dealing with a naive society wife they could easily manipulate. They had no idea who they were really dealing with. My father hadn't raised a fool. He'd raised a lawyer's daughter. And I'd learned from the best how to gather evidence, build a case, and wait for the perfect moment to strike. Your grandmother thinks she's the only wolf in this house, I whispered to my daughter, but she's about to learn that a mother bear is far more dangerous. They're trying to do what? Kiara nearly dropped her coffee cup. We were sitting in the back corner of a tiny cafe 20 miles from the Wolf Estate, where Eleanor's society friends wouldn't dream of setting foot. Declare me mentally unfit, I said, keeping my voice low. They want custody of my baby and control of my inheritance. Those evil, calculating... Kiara took a deep breath. Okay, what do you need from me? I leaned forward. Remember when you worked in surveillance? I need equipment. Small, undetectable, and I need your help placing it. Done. She pulled out her phone. I still have contacts. How soon? Yesterday. I glance around the cafe. Eleanor's already making calls. I heard her mention someone named Julian, probably a lawyer. Give me 2 hours. Kiara's fingers flew across her phone screen. Meet me at my place. And Viv, delete this conversation from your phone. Back at Kiara's apartment, she laid out an array of tiny recording devices on her kitchen counter. These are the latest models, virtually undetectable, battery life of 2 weeks, and they upload to a secure cloud server. Perfect. I picked up one of the devices. I need to plant them in Eleanor's study, the main living room, and Brett's home office. You'll need a distraction to get into Brett's office, Kiara said. He keeps it locked, right? Leave that to me. I smiled grimly. I've been practicing my pregnant woman mood swings. Speaking of pregnant, Kiara hesitated. Have you gotten a second opinion? Somewhere Eleanor doesn't have influence? Actually, I pulled out my phone. I have an appointment tomorrow with Lillian Waters. She was my father's friend, runs her own clinic across town. Good. You need someone you can trust. The next day, I lay on another examination table, this time without Eleanor's hovering presence. Lillian's warm hands moved the ultrasound wand carefully across my stomach. How are you holding up, sweetheart? She asked. Your father would be so proud. I miss him, I admitted. He would have known exactly what to do about... About what? Lillian's eyes sharpened. Viviana, is everything okay at home? Before I could answer, she froze, staring at the screen. Well, this is interesting. What's wrong? My heart jumped. Nothing's wrong. She turned the screen toward me. But look here, and here. Viviana, you're carrying twins. Twins? I sat up so fast I got dizzy. Are you sure? Absolutely. One was hiding behind the other in your previous scan. Baby A is definitely a girl, and baby B, she smiled, is a boy. I fell back against the table, laughing through sudden tears. A boy. Eleanor's precious male heir was there all along, and she had no idea. I need you to keep this quiet, I said. Please, Lillian, no one can know about the second baby. She studied my face. Does this have anything to do with why you're seeing me instead of your regular doctor? I told her everything. By the end, her face was hard with anger. Your father was my friend for 30 years, she said. I'll keep your secret, and I'll testify if you need me to. Back home, I planted the first recording device behind a painting in the living room while pretending to adjust it for the 100th time. Eleanor watched me with barely concealed irritation. Darling, perhaps you should lie down, she suggested. You seem fidgety today. You're right, I said, making my voice shake slightly. I'm not feeling quite myself. Her eyes gleamed with satisfaction. I'll have Brett check on you later. That night, I waited until Brett was in the shower before making my move. I burst into his office, letting out a convincing sob. Brett! Brett! I need you! I called out, knowing he could hear me through the bathroom door. He came running, dripping wet in a towel. What's wrong? I don't know, I wailed, dropping to my knees by his desk. Everything feels wrong. The painting was wrong, and now the baby won't stop kicking, And I just need. Okay, he said awkwardly, clearly uncomfortable with my display. Let me get dressed. Wait in our room. The moment he returned to the bathroom, I slipped the second recording device into his desk drawer. The third went into Eleanor's study during dinner, when I excused myself claiming nausea. Later, I texted Kiara, "Devices planted. Now we wait." Her response came quickly. "The web is set. Let's see what kind of wolves we catch." I placed my hand on my stomach, feeling both babies move. "Your grandmother wants an heir," I whispered. "But first, she's going to learn about karma." The first expert arrived on a Tuesday morning. Dr. Phillips wore wire-rimmed glasses and carried a leather notebook, looking every bit the concerned professional Eleanor had undoubtedly paid for. "Mrs. Wolfe has mentioned some concerning behaviors," he said, watching me carefully. "Would you like to talk about them?" I twisted my hands in my lap. "I'm just tired. Pregnancy is overwhelming sometimes." "Of course." He scribbled something. "And these episodes of rearranging furniture at night?" I fought back a smile. Eleanor's surveillance was working exactly as I'd hoped. The nursery needs to be perfect. Sometimes I can't sleep until I fix things. More scribbling. Behind my carefully vacant expression, I counted the hours until Kara's next update. That evening, Brett cornered me in the kitchen. "Dr. Phillips thinks you might benefit from some medication." "While I'm pregnant?" I let my voice crack. "But what about the baby?" "Mother knows an excellent facility." "No!" I grabbed his arm, letting real tears fall. "Please, Brett, don't send me away. I'll be better, I promise." His face softened with pity. Exactly what I wanted. "We're trying to help you, Viv." Later, my phone buzzed with an encrypted message from Ciara. "Found something. Brett's using a burner email. Sending screenshots now." I locked myself in the bathroom to read them. There were dozens of exchanges between Brett and someone named Julian Butler, discussing medical evaluations, custody arrangements, and my father's estate. One line made my blood run cold. "Once declared unfit, her trust transfers directly to you. Eleanor has arranged everything." I was still shaking when Eleanor's voice carried through my hidden recorder. "Julian says we're moving too slowly. That little idiot is still too coherent." "The doctor's reports are helping," Brett replied, "but we need more." "Then we'll give them more. I've hired a live-in aide to start tomorrow. She'll document everything." "And the inheritance?" "Once she's out of the way, the child is ours. That inheritance practically signs itself." I sent the recording to Kiara immediately. Her response? "Got it. Building the file." "But Viv, there's more. They've already drafted custody papers." The aide arrived the next morning, a stern-faced woman named Margaret, who followed me everywhere, notebook in hand. I gave her plenty to write about. At breakfast, I rearranged all the plates 3 times before eating. During lunch, I had a lengthy conversation with my reflection about baby names. By dinner, Margaret had filled several pages with my concerning behaviors. She spent 45 minutes color-coding the spice rack, I heard her telling Eleanor, and she keeps insisting the baby is talking to her. Eleanor's satisfaction was palpable. "Excellent. Keep recording everything." That night, I slipped into Brett's office again while he showered. The custody papers were right where Kara said they'd be, hidden in a locked drawer that opened easily to the key I'd copied months ago. I photographed every page with trembling hands. My phone buzzed. "Ciara, found something big. Brett's been moving money from your father's estate. Sending proof now." I stared at the financial documents she'd uncovered. Brett had been embezzling from my inheritance since before our marriage, with Eleanor's guidance. The evidence was right there in black and white. Dates, amounts, forged signatures. A noise in the hallway sent me scrambling to replace everything. I made it back to our bedroom just as Brett emerged from the bathroom. "Everything okay?" he asked, noting my flushed face. The baby was kicking, I said, patting my stomach. She's very active tonight. His face darkened at the word she. Try to get some rest. Dr. Phillips is coming back tomorrow. I lay awake long after Brett fell asleep, planning my next move. The recordings were damning, the financial evidence devastating, but I needed more. I needed them to show their full hand before I showed mine. My phone lit up with one last message from Ciara. Ready when you are. Say the word, and we burn their world down. Not yet, I typed back. I want them to try destroying me first. Let them think they've won. I pressed my hand against my stomach, feeling both babies move. The boy kicked strongly, as if announcing his presence to the world. But not yet, little one. Your grandmother's game needs to play out first. Sweet dreams, Eleanor, I whispered into the darkness. Enjoy your plotting while you can, because soon you'll learn that the scariest monsters aren't the ones that bare their teeth. They're the ones that smile while they're circling for the kill. Time to put on the performance of my life. I started small, missing appointments, claiming I forgot scheduling them. Margaret's pen scratched furiously across her notepad every time I showed up late, confused, to meals. I could have sworn breakfast was at 9, I'd say, wandering into the dining room at 11. The clocks must be wrong again. Eleanor would exchange knowing looks with Brett, while Margaret documented everything. Perfect. I graduated to talking to mirrors, long, elaborate conversations about conspiracy theories, always when I knew someone was watching. The hidden cameras Ciara had helped me locate caught every concerned glance, every whispered conversation. She's getting worse, Brett told Eleanor one evening, caught perfectly by my recording devices. The doctor will be pleased. I saved my masterpiece for Dr. Phillips' next visit. I'd studied his previous notes through photos Ciara had secretly taken. I knew exactly what symptoms he was fishing for. The baby speaks to me, I told him, staring at a point just past his head. She says the house is watching us. His eyebrows shot up. The house is watching you? The paintings move when no one's looking. I leaned forward, dropping my voice. But that's not the worst part. Sometimes I think Eleanor is trying to poison my tea. Dr. Phillips' pen flew across his notepad. And how long have you had these thoughts? Since the birds started spelling messages in the sky. I blinked rapidly. You see them too, right? The warnings? Later that night, I heard him speaking with Eleanor and Brett in the study. My hidden recorder caught every word. Classic paranoid delusions, he said. Combined with her erratic behavior and apparent disconnection from reality. So you'll testify? Eleanor's voice was eager. I'll submit my evaluation recommending immediate psychiatric intervention. Given her condition and advanced pregnancy, the courts should act quickly. I waited until the house was quiet before texting Ciara. Doctor took the bait. Send the video. She replied immediately. Done. Anonymous email sent to the medical board. Let's see how he explains coaching Eleanor on exactly what symptoms you needed to show. The next morning, Julian Butler himself arrived. The lawyer's expensive suit couldn't hide his predatory smile as he sat across from me in Eleanor's study. Mrs. Wolfe, I'm here to discuss your condition, he said smoothly. Your family is very concerned. Which Mrs. Wolfe? I asked, making my voice dreamy. There are so many of us in the mirrors now. His smile widened. I understand you've been experiencing some difficulties. Fortunately, we found an excellent facility that specializes in cases like yours. Cases like mine? I twisted my hands together, watching his eyes track the movement. You mean the birds told you to? Dr. Phillips's evaluation suggests you're experiencing a severe mental health crisis. He pulled out some papers. These documents will ensure you receive the best possible care. I let my eyes go wide and unfocused. The papers are bleeding. Look, the words are turning into snakes. Julian cleared his throat. Perhaps we should discuss this when you're feeling more present. In the meantime, I'll leave these with your husband. The moment he left, I activated the camera in my necklace, another of Ciara's clever devices. It had captured everything, including Julian's unethical attempt to have me sign documents while allegedly in a delusional state. Got it, Kara texted, adding it to the file. But Viv, they're moving faster now. Eleanor's already submitted preliminary paperwork to the court. Good, I wrote back. Let them think they're winning. I want every single betrayal documented. That evening, I overheard Brett on the phone through my bedroom door. It's all arranged, he was saying. The facility will take her next week. Once she's committed, the custody transfer is automatic. I pressed my hand against my stomach, feeling both babies move. Just a little longer, I whispered. Let them dig their graves just a little deeper. My phone buzzed with a final message from Ciara. Court documents are ready. Financial evidence compiled. Video and audio recordings backed up in 3 locations. Say the word, and we end this. I thought of Eleanor's smug face, Brett's weak betrayal, and Julian's predatory smile. They thought they were destroying a vulnerable pregnant woman. They had no idea they were actually dealing with a lawyer's daughter who'd learned to play the long game. Not yet, I replied. I want them to serve me the papers themselves. Let them have their moment of triumph. It will make their fall so much sweeter. The envelope arrived by courier, thick, legal-sized, with my name typed in cold, formal letters. Inside was a consent form for voluntary psychiatric commitment and a handwritten note. Sign this, or we go to court. I traced the letters with my finger, recognizing Eleanor's precise handwriting. The threat was clear. Do this the easy way, or we'll destroy you publicly. Perfect. Ciara, I said into my phone, it's time for the spa scene. On my way, she replied. Camera ready. Eleanor spent every Thursday afternoon at the Golden Lotus Spa, holding court with her society friends. I'd never gone uninvited before. It was her sacred space, which made it the perfect place to stage my biggest performance yet. I walked into the spa's luxurious lobby just as Eleanor was finishing her massage. Ciara was already there, disguised in a spa robe and face mask, her hidden camera ready. Eleanor, I called out, letting my voice crack with hysteria. I got your message. She froze, then quickly plastered on a concerned smile for the other patrons. Viviana, dear, this isn't the place. You want to lock me away? I pulled out the consent form, waving it wildly. You want to steal my baby? Lower your voice, she hissed, grabbing my arm and dragging me toward a private treatment room. Exactly as planned. Once inside, her mask dropped. You stupid girl. Did you really think you could just walk in here and make a scene? The papers are bleeding again, I whispered, watching her face twist with satisfaction. Just like the birds warned me. Good, she purred. Now scream, show me crazy. Give me something to tell the judge. I obliged, letting out a shriek that would have made any horror movie actress proud. The mirrors are full of snakes. They're watching us. Eleanor pulled out her phone, recording my performance with barely concealed glee. Perfect. Keep going, you unstable little fool. Through my theatrical sobs, I caught Kira's reflection in the mirror, her own camera capturing everything from the perfect angle. Eleanor's true colors, exposed in high definition. You'll never see that baby, Eleanor snarled, dropping all pretense. Once you're committed, Brett gets everything. The child, your inheritance, all of it. And you? She leaned close. You'll rot in a padded room where no one will believe a word you say. I collapsed into a corner, rocking and mumbling about shadows and birds, while Eleanor finished her recording with a flourish. I'm doing this for your own good, she announced loudly, back in concerned mother-in-law mode. You're clearly unwell. The moment she left, Kara slipped into the room. Got everything. You were brilliant. Send it all to my secure drive, I said, standing up and straightening my clothes. And send me Eleanor's recording, too. I'm sure she's already forwarded it to Julian. Already done. But Viv, there's something else. I found more financial documents. Brett didn't just embezzle from your inheritance. He's been stealing from other family accounts too. Eleanor's been covering it up. I smiled grimly. Add it to the file. Every piece of evidence is another nail in their coffin. Back at the house, Brett was waiting. Mother told me about your episode at the spa. The birds made me do it, I said vacantly, watching him flinch. The facility has a room ready, he said. We can do this quietly, or I'll scream. I met his eyes. I'll scream and scream until everyone knows what you're doing to me. He stepped back, uncertainty flickering across his face. You need help, Viv. We're trying to protect you. Like you protected my father's estate? The words slipped out before I could stop them. Brett's face went pale. What did you say? I quickly resumed my vacant stare. The mirrors told me about the money, but don't worry, the birds said they'll keep your secrets. He practically ran from the room. Minutes later, I heard him on the phone with Eleanor. She said something about the estate. Do you think she knows? Impossible, Eleanor snapped. She's delusional. Stay focused. Tomorrow we present the evidence to the judge. Soon this will all be over. I rubbed my stomach, feeling both babies kick. You hear that, little ones? Tomorrow's the big day. Time to show these wolves what happens when they try to hunt a mother bear. My phone buzzed with a message from Chiara. Everything's ready. Files sent to the court, press contacts on standby. Sure you want to wait? Absolutely, I replied. Let them bring their evidence to the judge. I want to see their faces when they realize they've walked right into my trap. Eleanor arranged the family dinner with all the precision of a military operation. The dining room table was set with the finest china, a show of wealth and control. Julian arrived first, his briefcase bulging with documents. Dr. Phillips followed, looking nervous but determined. Brett paced by the window while Margaret hovered nearby with her ever-present notebook. I arrived last, wearing a flowing maternity dress that made me look especially vulnerable. My own briefcase was hidden in Tiara's car, parked just around the corner. Sit down, dear. Eleanor gestured to the chair at the far end of the table. We need to discuss your future. The birds said this would happen, I mumbled, playing my part one final time. Julian cleared his throat. I have here a petition for emergency psychiatric commitment, supported by expert testimony and documented evidence of severe mental instability. He spread papers across the table like playing cards. Dr. Phillips nodded along, adding his own medical reports to the pile. Additionally, Julian continued, given your condition, we're filing for emergency custody of the child to be granted to Brett immediately upon birth. For your own good, darling, Eleanor added, her voice dripping with a false concern. You're in no condition to care for a baby. I stared at my hands, letting them wait in the silence. Brett shifted uncomfortably. Viviana, Julian pressed, this can be easy or difficult. Sign these papers voluntarily, and we can avoid a messy court battle. I looked up slowly, meeting Eleanor's triumphant gaze. You're right. We should avoid a mess. Relief flooded Brett's face. Eleanor's smile widened. However, I continued, reaching for my phone, I have some documents of my own to share first. That won't be necessary, Julian started, but I was already pressing buttons. The front door opened. Ciara walked in, carrying my briefcase. Behind her came Lillian Waters, followed by two people Eleanor had never seen before, my own lawyer and a court reporter. What is the meaning of this? Eleanor demanded. Evidence, I said, my voice clear and strong. No more mumbling, no more vacant stares. Let's start with this. I slid the first folder across the table. Inside were printouts of Brett's secret emails with Julian, discussing their plans to have me committed. Or maybe this. Another folder. Financial documents showing Brett's systematic theft from my father's estate. Eleanor's hands began to shake. These prove nothing. Then how about this? I played the recording of her coaching me at the spa. Now scream, show me crazy. Give me something to tell the judge. Dr. Phillips went pale. Julian tugged at his collar. But wait, I said. There's more. I nodded to Lillian, who produced the ultrasound results. I'm carrying twins, a girl and a boy. Your precious male heir was there all along, Eleanor. You were just too blinded by prejudice to wait for the full results. Twins? Brett whispered. Yes, but you'll never meet them, because while you were all building your case against me, I was building one of my own. My lawyer stepped forward, opening his own briefcase. We have documented evidence of conspiracy to commit fraud, attempted illegal imprisonment, medical malpractice, and embezzlement. The district attorney is very interested in this case. You can't prove, Julian started. Every conversation in this house for the past 2 months was recorded. I cut him off. Every email, every phone call, every secret meeting. I have it all. Eleanor's face had turned to stone. Brett looked like he might faint. Dr. Phillips, I turned to the psychiatrist, the medical board might be interested in how you coached my mother-in-law on exactly what symptoms I should display. That recording is particularly damning. He grabbed his coat and practically ran from the room. You little witch, Eleanor hissed. After everything we've done for you. Everything you've done to me, I corrected. And now you'll pay for it. My lawyer has already filed charges. The press has copies of everything. By morning, the Wolf family's reputation will be in shreds. Viv, Brett stepped toward me. We can talk about this. No, we can't. We're done talking. I've already moved my things out. The divorce papers are in that last folder. Eleanor's hand shook as she reached for the documents. Julian turned an interesting shade of gray as he read over her shoulder. You'll regret this, she whispered. No, Eleanor. You will. I stood, one hand on my stomach. You wanted to destroy me? Congratulations. You just destroyed yourself instead. I walked out of the dining room, head high, leaving them with their shattered schemes and my lawyer's paperwork. Kiara was waiting by the door with my coat. Ready? She asked. More than ready, I replied. Let's go home. Behind us, Eleanor's scream of rage echoed through the mansion. But I didn't look back. I had won, and my babies would never know the poison of the Wolf family legacy. The headlines broke the next morning like a tidal wave. Wolf family scandal. Attempted forced psychiatric commitment in inheritance scheme. Prominent lawyer disbarred over conspiracy charges. Society matriarch Eleanor Wolf faces criminal investigation. My phone wouldn't stop buzzing with notifications. I turned it off and watched the morning news from Sierra's couch instead. The prestigious Wolf family is facing multiple criminal charges today, the anchor announced. Sources say evidence includes recordings of family members conspiring to have a pregnant woman falsely committed. Kiara brought me tea. How are you holding up? Before I could answer, someone pounded on the front door. Through the peephole, we saw Brett, looking disheveled. Viv, please, he called out. Just let me explain. I nodded to Kiara, who had her phone ready to record. Then I opened the door. Explain what? I asked coldly. How you plan to steal my inheritance? Or how you were going to take my babies? I didn't. Mother said. He ran his hands through his hair. The police are at the house. Julian's been arrested. Everything's falling apart. Good. You don't understand. Mother's threatening to expose my other dealings. The missing funds. It wasn't just your father's estate. There were others. I smiled. I know. That evidence is with the DA, too. His face crumpled. They're going to arrest me. Yes, they are. In fact, I checked my watch. They should be here any minute. As if on cue, police cars pulled up outside, lights flashing. Brett turned to run, but found 2 officers already coming up the back stairs. Brett Wolf, one called out. You're under arrest for financial fraud and conspiracy to commit false imprisonment. I watched them lead him away in handcuffs, his expensive suit wrinkled, his carefully styled hair a mess. He looked back once, his face a mixture of betrayal and desperation. You did this to yourself? I said quietly as he passed. My lawyer called an hour later. Eleanor's being charged too. The evidence is overwhelming. Julian's already offering to testify against them both in exchange for a lighter sentence. And Dr. Phillips? The medical board revoked his license this morning. He's cooperating fully with the investigation. I rubbed my stomach, feeling the twins move. What about my father's estate? Already filing to recover the stolen funds. Brett's other victims are coming forward too. The Wolf family's finances are about to be torn apart. The doorbell rang again. This time it was Eleanor, looking like a ghost of her former self. You vindictive little witch, she spat before I could speak. You've destroyed everything. No, Eleanor, you did that. I just exposed the truth. The truth, she laughed bitterly. The truth is you never deserved the Wolf name. You were never good enough for my son. Your son who stole from grieving families, who conspired to have his pregnant wife committed. That's the legacy you're so proud of? You think you've won? She stepped closer. You're nothing. Your children will be nothing. Kara appeared beside me. Step back, Eleanor. The restraining order's already in effect. My grandchildren will never know you, I cut her off. They'll never know your poison, your schemes, your obsession with power. They'll be free. You can't. I can, and I will. Enjoy the silence I gave you, Eleanor. It's all you have left. Police cars appeared again, this time for Eleanor. As they led her away, she screamed threats and accusations, her perfectly coiffed hair coming undone, her designer outfit dusty from struggling against the officers. You'll regret this, she shrieked. You'll never be rid of us. Actually, I called after her, I already am. Later that night, Sierra and I watched the evening news coverage over pizza. The Wolf family's fall from grace was complete. Their charitable foundation was under investigation. Their business partners were distancing themselves. Their society friends were giving interviews about how they always suspected something wasn't right. How does it feel, Kiara asked, being the one who brought down an empire? I thought about my father, who taught me to fight injustice with evidence and patience. About my unborn twins, who would grow up free from toxic legacy games. About the quiet strength it took to wait, watch, and strike at exactly the right moment. It feels like karma, I said finally. They thought they were wolves hunting a helpless prey. They never realized they were actually teaching their prey how to hunt. My phone buzzed one last time. A text from my lawyer. Final restraining orders approved. They can never contact you or your children. You're free. Free. I looked out Ciara's window at the city lights, one hand on my stomach, feeling my baby's kick. The Wolf family's reign of manipulation and cruelty was over. And in its place, something new could begin. The lake sparkled under the morning sun as I rocked my newborn twins in the sunroom of my father's old house. Hope, my fierce little girl, was already asleep while Justice, her brother, watched the world with curious eyes. Your grandfather loved this view, I told them softly. He said the water reminded him that even the strongest forces can be gentle when they choose to be. The doorbell rang, and Ciara let herself in, carrying newspapers and coffee. The verdicts are in, she announced, spreading the papers across the coffee table. Brett got 8 years for fraud and conspiracy. Eleanor got 5, plus massive fines. Julian's serving 3, and he's permanently disbarred. And the estate? All recovered, plus damages. She grinned. The mighty Wolves are officially broke. Their mansion's being sold to pay restitution. Justice made a small sound, and I shifted him to my shoulder. Hear that, little one? That's the sound of karma completing its circle. Have you read the letters? Ciara nodded toward a stack of unopened envelopes on the side table. No need. I know what they say. Eleanor begging to see her grandchildren, Brett swearing he's changed, their lawyers trying to negotiate visitation. And they'll stay unopened. Some bridges aren't meant to be rebuilt. Ciara picked up Hope, who immediately grabbed her finger. She's got your grip, both literal and metaphorical. She's got her grandfather's spirit, I corrected. They both do. Speaking of which, I nodded toward a fresh stack of paperwork on my desk. I'm reopening his law practice, specializing in family protection and estate law. Fighting for other victims of family manipulation? Someone has to. And who better than someone who's been there? The lake breeze carried the scent of pine through the open windows. In the distance, a boat cut through the water, leaving ripples that reached all the way to our shore. Like consequences, I thought. Every action creating waves that eventually touch every shore. The press still wants your story, Ciara said. They're offering significant money for exclusive interviews. No, I stood walking to the window with Justice. The story isn't for sale. Neither is our piece. Speaking of peace, Kira hesitated. There's one more thing. Eleanor's been writing to the local papers, trying to spin a redemption narrative. Claims she's seen the error of her ways. I laughed softly. Some people never change. They just adapt their manipulation. But she's playing to an empty audience now. Hope started to fuss, and I took her from Ciara, holding both twins close. They were so perfectly themselves. Not heirs, not pawns, just babies with endless possibilities ahead of them. You know what my father used to say about revenge? I asked Ciara. He said the best revenge isn't about destroying your enemies. It's about building something so beautiful from their wreckage that they can't help but see it flourishing without them. Is that what this is? She gestured to the lake house, the law practice paperwork, the peaceful scene we'd created. Building something beautiful? This is about breaking cycles. The wolves built their legacy on power and fear. We're building ours on protection and truth. Justice yawned, his tiny face scrunching up exactly like his sister's. No trace of Brett's weak chin or Eleanor's sharp features. They were purely themselves. I got another call from the women's shelter, Ciara mentioned. They want you to speak at their fundraiser. Share your story with other women trapped in manipulative families. I looked down at my twins, then out at the lake my father loved. Tell them yes. It's time to turn our story into something useful. Hope grabbed her brother's hand in her sleep, and I felt my heart swell. This was true legacy, not the kind bought with money or maintained through fear, but the kind built on love and courage. The wolves wanted heirs, I told my sleeping babies. Instead, they created survivors, and survivors know how to build new worlds from the ashes of the old ones. Ciara raised her coffee cup. To new worlds, then. To new worlds, I agreed, and to the strength it takes to build them. Outside, the lake continued its eternal dance of waves and ripples, each one reaching the shore transformed but undiminished. Like us, I thought, changed by our battles but not broken by them, ready to help others find their way to safer shores. The twins slept on, peaceful and protected, while I watched the water sparkle. Sometimes the happy ending isn't about winning the war, but about choosing which peace to build afterward. We'd chosen ours, and it was beautiful.